Welcome back to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. It's summertime, and happy should just be a word that should be in your life no matter what. But sometimes, especially with everything going on in the world, it's not always easy to find happiness. But there's somebody that wants to talk about the Happiness Project. Her name, Gretchen Rubin. She's the author of the book, The Happiness Project, and she is here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be talking to you.
Well, it's great to be talking to you, too. We've tried to connect a couple of times, and happiness just wasn't in our cards those days.
But now we've done it.
So let's talk about this. What is the Happiness Project?
Well, I decided that I was going to spend a year test driving the wisdom of the ages, the current scientific studies, the lessons from popular culture about how to be happier. I wanted to know if I really did all the things that I thought I ought to do, could I make myself happier? And I also wanted to do it within my ordinary life. I didn't want to climb a mountain or move to a different country. I wanted to just see if I could make little changes within just my ordinary day. And so I decided to spend a year doing everything I could think of.
And how did that work out for you?
You know, in the spirit of scientific inquiry, I was prepared to come away from it feeling like, well, you know what? I'm basically where I was when I started. And even to me, I'm surprised by how much happier I am having done all these things. You know, in a year, you think, well, how much can you do in a year? And it's really surprising what a big difference I was able to make without really changing anything very dramatically in my life.
So you didn't have to pull an eat, pray, love and go to Bali.
Yeah, you know, some people, I love reading about these big, adventurous happiness projects, and for some people, it's right. But I'm a person, I don't like to travel. I eat the same food every day. I basically never leave my neighborhood. I'm just not an adventurous person. Plus, I have 2 little kids. I have my work, my husband. I couldn't do that, and even if I could do that, I didn't really want to do it. So I really wanted to have a very, home-focused happiness project where it was really about just, and when I started, I realized I had the elements of a happy life, and I really was pretty happy. And one of the things I wanted to do was really to appreciate more what I already had and live up to it better and just not take it for granted, because I didn't have to go far away to find happiness because I really was already happy where I was. But, you know, it's so easy to be distracted by the little things that go wrong or your little annoyances, you know, the minor irritations, and you forget how good you have it.
Right. You forget how great it is when you're arguing with your daughter that you have a daughter to argue with.
Exactly. And that was one of the major things for my happiness project, was just to remind myself of really everything that I had to be happy about already.
So let's talk about some short-term steps, because I mean, I'm one of those people. I love to eat, pray, love. I would love to run into someone, not Javier Bardem, but somebody like him. Okay, you know, because I thought that his whole persona and who he was as a man in that movie, loved it, but I can't afford to take off and just go to Bali. I have kids, I have responsibilities, a community that needs me, so I can't do that. So a lot of people can't do that.
Right.
We can't take off and decide to, look for our happiness or what our meaning in life is. So what are some things that we could do today to make ourselves happier?
I mean, that I think is the big question, because a lot of people, they say, well, I don't have any extra money. I don't have any extra time. I don't have any extra energy. I'm barely hanging on by my fingernails. But it turns out there's a lot of things that you can do. And one of the most basic things, and it's so basic it sounds kind of silly, but really to just get enough sleep. Because a lot of people are unhappy because they're just exhausted. And when you're exhausted, you feel overwhelmed, you're irritable, you don't have patience, you get sick more easily. So just turning out the light a half an hour early could do a lot for you. But other things you could do just today, sing. It turns out if you act the way you wish you felt, if you act energetic and cheerful, you'll make yourself feel more energetic and cheerful. So doing something goofy, like just jumping up and down a few times, singing, acting friendly, acting outgoing, even if you don't feel that way, can really boost your mood. One thing also is just to go outside. It's great if you get a little bit of exercise, you get an energy boost from it. Sometimes people think they're too tired to exercise, but actually exercise gives you energy. And if you go outside the sunlight, that also gives you energy and focus and alertness. One thing that I did, because I had this feeling that my children's childhood was just passing so quickly, and I thought I have no memory of my own childhood. I thought I'm not going to remember any of this. So what I do is I keep a 1-sentence journal, because like most people, I barely have any time, I knew I wouldn't keep a real journal. But now I just write one sentence. And it turns out that one sentence is enough. It's manageable. It's something that you can actually do. And now I look back 3 years at my one-sentence journal, and I'm like, oh, yeah, now I forgot what it was like when we were at that stage with our children, or I forgot how we used to do that every Sunday. And it really helps me remember and makes me feel like I'm holding on to the life the way it is now. So there's a lot of things that you can do within your ordinary day. One thing I'm obsessed with now, recently, is smells. I never really paid that much attention to smells, and now I realize it's this great pleasure that you can have. It doesn't take any energy. It doesn't cost you any calories. It doesn't cost money. It doesn't cost any mental energy, because like reading a great novel it will bring you happiness, but it takes focus and time. You just you just pick up a grapefruit and smell it, and you're like, you just get that little burst of sort of bodily pleasure, and it's so satisfying. And it's just one of these things that you just have to think to do it, but it's not hard to do it. It doesn't take any effort really to do it, except for the idea to think, I should really, or really savor the smell of your first cup of coffee. Instead of just slamming it down, really say like, oh gosh, there's nothing like that first cup of coffee, and really enjoy it.
Right, taking the time. Okay, now we've looked at some immediate things that we can do by simply appreciating a lot of the things around us, or maybe walking outside, getting outside in the sunshine, taking a walk, doing a little bit of exercise. What about some, let's look at it like a month-long goal. What can we do over a month to increase our happiness?
Well, one of the things that's really surprising as you talk to adults is a lot of adults really don't know how to have fun. They've spent so much time thinking about what they ought to do, or what they wish they wanted to do, or what other people think is fun, that they don't really know how to have fun. And if something is fun for you if you actually look forward to it and you find it energizing, and then you don't feel guilty about it later. So there's a lot of things that might get 2 out of those that aren't 3. So let's look for the things that really are fun. And if to have a happy life, it's not enough just to have an absence of negative feelings. You really have to have sources of good feelings. And having something to look forward to, something that's really fun for you, is really energizing and can really help you deal with, I think, the things that make you that are hard to do. Things we all have to do a lot of things that we don't feel like doing, but if there's something that you're doing that's really fun, it kind of helps you do that. And something that's really helpful, if you really can't think of something that you would find fun, is to ask yourself, well, what did you do for fun when you were 10 years old? Because the kind of thing that you did as a 10-year-old is probably the kind of thing that you would enjoy now, adapted for adulthood. So if you liked walking through the woods with your dog, or you did arts and crafts, or, I copied quotations out of my favorite books into these blank books with these elaborate things that I cut out of magazines. That's not what I do now as an adult, but my blog is very much the same kind of process, and I enjoy it in the same kind of way. And there's something about having fun, or like going on vacation. I think Jerry Seinfeld said there's no such thing as fun for the whole family. And it's very easy as an adult to be on a vacation where basically it's just no fun for you. You're doing different stuff, but it's not that much fun. It's like, if it's supposed to be vacation, try to find time where everybody, at least a little bit of the time, is doing what's actually fun for them. Because you might think of course it's fun to be out in the ocean swimming around, but if you really want to be in bed reading, that's what you really want to be doing. And if you don't do anything that's actually fun for you, you're not going to find it restoring. You're not going to find it energizing. You're just going to be like, okay, it's just different errands in a different venue. So finding that fun, but it can be a longer process, because some people know exactly what they find fun, but they don't make time for it. And I find that with the things I want to do, I really have to schedule it like a dentist appointment, because otherwise it just always gets shoved to the bottom. I just think, of course I'll find time to read. I love to read. My favorite thing to do is to read. How could I ever live a life when I don't have time to read? And yet if I don't make time for it, it just days and days and weeks go by when I'm not doing any real reading. And so making time for it in your schedule. And so you have to think about it a little bit. It's not necessarily this spontaneous thing. You think of fun and play as being very spontaneous and natural. But if it's missing from your life, you really have to mindfully think about how you're going to get it back in.
Yeah, and believe it or not, we actually we plotted fun when we were kids, because we had to figure out, okay, how do I get to go outside? How do I get to stay out later? How do I get to go to so-and-so's house?
Yeah.
So really there was a lot of planning and fun as a kid, too. We just don't remember how much we had to do just to get permission to go outside.
That's a very good point. And in fact, that's exactly why people say, because one of the mysteries of happiness is that people watch so much TV, and yet it doesn't seem like that TV makes people that happy. So it's really like, well, why do they do it? The thing about TV that is always available, and you don't have to plan. You don't have to say, hey, can you do something at 3:00 on Thursday? It's not like a pickup basketball game where you can only do it if everybody sort of coordinates, and it's really fun once you're doing it. But there's a little bit there's preparation that has to go into it, and so you're right. Like, you just have to accept the fact that these things, they have to be. You have to set them up. But then there's a huge payoff when you do. Whereas, it's flopping down on the couch with a remote control. Like, it's very enticing because it's right there. And it can be fun to a certain extent, but if that's all you do with your free time, there's probably other things that you could do that would be more fun.
Right. Well, Gretchen Rubin, the book is called The Happiness Project. Is there a website where we can go to hear more about The Happiness Project and yourself?
Yes, I have a blog also called The Happiness Project, which is www.happiness-project.com, where I write every day about happiness and the pursuit of happiness.
Well, I can tell that you are definitely on your way to happiness, and I hope that we've given some other people some inspiration to happiness today. And if you find out anything more about happiness, you make sure you come back and see us.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
All right, Gretchen, have a great day. He's been here before talking about transforming your teenager. Imagine it. He's a transformational teen trainer with us in the house today. Alex Urbina, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Blessed to be here. Thanks.
Last time you were here, we did a lot of talking about this spirit training.
Right.
And helping our teens break through some of these things that just, I don't know if it's hormonal, I don't know what it is, or if it's just being a teenager. I think it's a combination of all those things, just kind of get in the way of life a little bit.
At the teenage years, really look back or remember back, it was a difficult time of having a lot of pressures. And I think underneath the core of all those pressures is some insecurities, self-doubt, some fears. And that's really what we work on in the training is uncovering those things, that the self-limitations that get in the way of you remembering how magnificent you are and owning your own power and realizing that you can, with the power of your choice, that you can create whatever you want. And so that's what we do in the training room.
It's like a life-altering weekend.
Yeah, it's very high. It's a high impact training. It's very emotional. I take these kids minute by minute, hour by hour. It's just a roller coaster of a ride. They get to really kind of get into some of these experiential exercises, and they try to make sense of what are some of the things that are stopping them. And it's a struggle, but I'm so inspired by their courage. And a lot of them have to dig in deep and find the champion within them. And it's just an amazing process. And when I first got my experience 17 years ago as a 23-year-old adult, I was hooked. And I just, I made my commitment and my passion was to pass this on to the younger generation and give them that gift.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about what happens. It's all happening the 27th and 28th of August at the Valencia Town Center on Valencia Boulevard in Valencia from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday in the community room right there by Penny's. Let's talk a little bit about what this transformational teen leadership training will be all about. And it's from ages 14 to 19. 14
to 19. Mm-hmm. That's correct. And, this training came about. The reason why this training came about here in August is I have two of my own teenagers. My son is 21, but I have two teenagers, 15, 16. One of them, the middle daughter, has already done one of my trainings, but the youngest one hasn't. I've been waiting for a moment to get her in and kind of let her mature a little bit. She's been asking me, Dad, am I ready? And I've kind of been waiting for her to get a little more life experience, but she's ready now. And they've been asking me, hey, Dad, when can you do a training for me and some of my friends? And so what I did was I decided to have this training for them, some of their friends, and I opened it up to the city and the community of Santa Clarita. And now I'm kind of just opening up to all of LA County. There's only 30 spots available. And as you know, in order for you to take advantage of opportunities before the door closes, you gotta take action.
Right.
And so, little bit of time, people are trickling in and registering, but I got spots open. I got about 10 or 15 spots open. Mm-hmm. And if any of your listeners are out there and see the value to have their teens have that unique wake-up call that may or may not come once in a lifetime, this is it. And I would just say, don't hesitate. Don't put that opportunity on the shelf. But just, when you hear this, get right home, jump on the website and register your teen. It's well worth it.
And the website is alexurbina.com, ALEXURBINA.com.
That's correct. Yeah.
And if they put in the special keyword Josefa, they get a discount, right?
You know it.
That's the way
magic
we do
word
it.
right
That's
there.
how we do it. It's a spirit training. Just to give you an example of what some people have said about this, there's a director of child development at Santa Monica Malibu School District. She said, in my 30 years as an educator, I have never had an outside instructor come into a high school and make such an immediate impact with the students like Alex Urbina. It's like Alex speaks a special language that only teens can hear. He is amazing. Somebody else from the city of, a council member from the city of Huntington Park. The spirit training is unlike anything that I have ever seen, and Alex Urbina is as unique and inspiring as they come. Alex and his teen leadership training continues to be one of the underlying factors to our success with teenagers, their parents, and their families in our communities. So the spirit training is designed, it's a personal development experiential workshop designed to help teenagers discover their personal power, boost their self-confidence, overcome their self-limitations, realize their full potential, and get feverishly excited to live responsibly.
That's it.
That's all of that in 2 days.
In 2 days, yeah. It's kind of like a crash course. For me, I call it a crash course in maturity. And these teenagers they've been kind of their whole outcomes have been managed by their parents. Since they were born up until they're 13, 14, and it's kind of like they want to be independent. They want to let you know as a parent, I can handle this, Mom. I got this, Dad. But they don't know how to express that. And some of them don't even realize that that's what they're going through. And so all these emotions, all the self-doubt and the limitations that they can't figure out or are just unconscious to, they don't know what's going on. And so I set the whole context up for that weekend, for those 2 days. And we just go in there and just hack at it. And it's just an amazing experience. I call it mini miracles because we're in there really fighting for these kids. Me and my staff are committed to having massive breakthroughs with each one of them. And it's just minute by minute, hour by hour, it just gets really intense. And the last day, when you see these kids in their heart and they're crying and they're high-fiving each other. And to look back on that Saturday morning and remember them walking in with their hoods. Most of them are wearing their egos when they walk in because they don't know each other. They're coming in from different parts of the city, and they're guarded and their walls are up. But as I put them in these different processes and these experiential exercises, they slowly give themselves permission to put those walls down and take a risk. They get out there and risk, and they start to realize, wow, this isn't as scary as I thought it was, and maybe I am that powerful. And if this guy's gonna say that I'm that powerful, well, if I can just embrace that for a day or two, I'm gonna do it. And it's amazing to see them rise to that level, and that's the magic behind what we do, and especially the context of transformation.
Well, it all happens August 27th and 28th, right before a lot of kids get real deep back into school.
Absolutely.
Be a perfect time to kick this off. And I'm telling you, I know so many parents that'll drop $100 on a pair of sneakers for back to school. Spend $100 and change your child's life.
Absolutely. And that's why I have up there, what's the one gift that you haven't given your teen yet? Because, we, in this world, we're giving iPads and iPhones and, you name it. We're trying to please our kids and make sure that they're happy, and we give them those kind of things. But what would it be like if you can give them the gift of remembering how magnificent they are, how powerful they are?
Or maybe learning it for the first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I believe that when we're young, we know that instinctively. When we're babies, like when we're 2-3 years old, we know how powerful we are. We just are not.
Because we manipulate our parents every day. I want this, I want that, I want that bottle now.
Yeah, so we know we can make things happen based on our choices, Mm-hmm. But as we start to have experiences in our family lives and then we start creating self-doubt, because a lot of times our brain, when we can't rationalize something, we make things up. Like the brain is kind of like a survival mechanism. When you don't have enough information, you have to just make up the rest of it. It can't just be neutral and leave things the way they are. So when things happen, for example, we're excited, we run in, we tell our dad, hey, I want to share this great news with you. And he's like, not right now, later. You can't, when you're young, you can't wrap your mind around that your dad is just doing something now. Plain and simple. We have to make up these self-limiting beliefs like, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or my dad doesn't care, or I'm not worthy. And that's where it starts. Little bit at a time, as we're growing up, we create these self-limiting beliefs, and then we look for validation to prove that it's right. And then we're wondering why we can't get out of the current level that we're operating, and get to the next level in life. And so that's what we do. We uncover all that stuff, and we really give them opportunity to break through that and redefine themselves in that moment.
Very good. So it's all happening the 27th and 28th. Register today. Get your kid in this today. 14 to 19-year-olds. AlexUrbina.com. Use the keyword Josefa for the cost that's barely over what you'll pay for a brand new pair of sneakers for your child. But this is something that could change their life. Alex, it is always a pleasure to have you here. And I keep telling you, every time you come, we got to do a weekend like this for adults.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a parent component. I have a teacher component. Right now, I just happen to be doing this, like I said, for my kids and for the community. And I'm offering it at cost. And so it's just kind of a gift to the community. But, you know, as much as it is a gift, you have to realize the value of it, and you have to take action. That's what we do, you know. So,
well, hopefully they'll take action today. AlexUrbina.com. Use your keyword Josefa for a great discount. And I can't wait to hear some success stories. Make sure you bring a couple back, and we can
I would love
talk
to.
with
I
them.
would love to have people come in and go, I'm from Hot 92.3.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to the success stories, and we'll have you back, because I would love to profile you during Hispanic Heritage Month and the work that you do, and maybe we can bring a success story with us.
Absolutely. I would love that. Thank you so much.
Don't forget to hit my webpage at hot923.com, keyword Josefa. All of the links from today are up there for everything you want to know. If you want more information about how to get your core ready, the Happiness Project, Jonathan Butler's show, or maybe you're just looking for a job, hit the job corner up. All that information is on my webpage. I'm Josefa Salinas. Until we get together again, stay strong, stay focused, and most of all, stay informed. I'll see you next Sunday on the Community Review, Hot 92.3. Get out there, have a wonderful, terrific, amazing day. I'm headed out the door right now to have some fun with my family and friends.